Hi, morning, Steph. Morning, Chloe.
Morning.
Great. How are you feeling, Steph? Are you still getting over the
Yeah,
COVID?
it's turned into a chest infection, so I'm just fighting a
Nasty.
chest infection.
Oh dear.
Downside of having an immunocompromised body.
Oh dear.
Yeah.
Do you have to see a doctor? Does it have to have something?
Possibly. Got my lunch appointment this afternoon, so I'm sure I'll come out more there.
Yeah. Oh well, I hope you're feeling better for Easter at least. Yeah. Have some time off. Yeah.
You guys got some time? Have you got big deadlines coming up, or with all the students, or are you?
No, well, I'm not. I'm currently, fortunately, with this project, I'm off teaching for a year, so that's pretty good. So, so I haven't got any marking or anything to do at the moment. But yeah, I run the PhD program, so I have I have to keep an eye on that. But that's sort of ongoing throughout the year. Yeah.
A nice thing to be doing, working with PhD students, though.
Yeah, it's great fun. Yeah, I enjoy it. It's a really good part of the job. Yeah. Hi, Alice. How are you?
Hello, I'm very well. How are you?
Good. Yeah, I'm good.
Good.
I'm good. Is Tom joining us as well today?
He should be.
Okay. We'll see.
I'll double check.
No worries. Yeah. He's still coming in. It's just gone 10:30. So.
Okay.
I watched Death on the Nile last night, the Kenneth Branagh ridiculous Poirot film.
Was it good?
I don't know. I mean, I'm not very well, so I don't feel like I wholly followed it, but it was like massively camp and very strange. And it featured a mustache origin story about why Poirot has such a ridiculous mustache, basically, which was interesting, I guess. I mean, it's Kenneth Branagh. He can't. Yeah, he always has quite a dramatic take on things, doesn't he?
Yeah. I really hate the guy, but I've not really got much reason to, and that's very unlike me to just dislike a celebrity. But I really hate him.
Yeah, I'm a David Suchet Poirot person, all the way, and so a bit of me, I think, dislikes Branagh because I'm just like, no, don't come in here when we already have perfectly good Suchet.
I think that's part of my hatred towards him. Yeah.
What was that? He did that Danish detective drama remake by Henning Mankell or something, and there was an amazing Danish version that's really stripped back and really serious. And then when Kenneth Branagh did it, it was just mainly shots of him trying not to cry. It was so beautifully shot, but it was so indulgent. It was I sometimes get a feeling that he is his Harry Potter character, the Lockhart character.
Yeah, I think he is.
Yeah,
I can't help finding him a bit irritating, I have to say. I agree with Alice. I don't know what it is, but
our friend who's family friends with Emma Thompson said that he is actually a bit of a horrible man. So
there you go. You had it.
Validation.
I got some validation. I got it on Monday because I suspected he was a horrible man, and now I've got some confirmation.
Is that from Jack?
Yeah.
Info? Yeah.
Well, I better tell you. I'm sorry. I'll probably cut that from the recording for you, just in case you don't want to.
Just in case Kenneth get involved.
Kenneth Branagh starts watching our streams.
That's me out of his films.
That's right.
Well, that would be the ultimate thing. You get offered a really good role, but every scene is with Kenneth Branagh. What would you do? Yeah.
That's a tricky one.
Not for me.
Anyway, we should stop, or you'll have to lose half the recording.
So I wonder. Well, we can wait. We can. I'm sure Tom can join us in a moment, and we can carry on. I don't want to take up too much of your time. So it was really. I just watching some of the video. Thank you, Chloe, for sending the recordings from Thursday over to me. Was it Thursday? I can't remember now. I don't know where I am. Monday. Where are we? Today's Thursday. It was Tuesday. It was Tuesday, wasn't it?
Ones. I'm just still uploading Wednesday's ones, but I'll send them over as soon as I can.
No problem. I can imagine it will take a while, so that's fine. That's good. But I was just looking through them, and there were some really, really great moments in it. Really, really, really sort of capturing the connectivity between Alice and Tom in the performance piece. So it was really good. Really, really excited. And I think it was good to have that little conversation yesterday at the end of the session, and you started to talk about what you might try and do and where you are, and what the next sort of stage will be. I mean, just to give you a bit of a picture, I mean, you've got as you know, you've got three more sessions, and our kind of wish really is that by the end you've got a sort of a short piece, I say piece, experimental piece that you have about 20 minutes that we can archive. But that could be a piece that you want to present to a select group of people, if you so wish, if you wanted to make a little bit of a goal in terms of it being a piece of performed work. So there could be a invited audience, or you may want to elaborate on that, entirely up to you. But our wish is that we get a sort of short 20-minute sort of culmination of the residency. Now that's 3 sessions, and 1 session is pretty much the final result. So that might be, well, we can talk about how that final day plays out and how you want to do that, whether you need a bit of prep and then a sort of half-hour sort of presentation of it, and really about the scale of what you want to try and achieve. I think we sort of touched on that a little bit yesterday, and I think you already had lots of ideas and also multiple scenes you could explore. And I wondered if you've had any more thoughts about what you might look to try and achieve, what's realistic for you.
We had a little chat at the end of yesterday's session, actually, because we had a really productive session doing lots of the scenes that we talked about, and then we kind of got onto this discussion that was like, these are really cool, but why wouldn't we pre-film them and do them? Like, why would they be live? And so kind of looking at and being like, this medium feels like it wants to be more live than the way that we've been using it this week. So I've kind of been thinking about like how that might work with like just overnight. And I think actually the next few sessions, it would be really nice to look at how we can incorporate more audience interaction in, incorporate more improvisation into what these guys are doing. From watching Death on the Nile, there is like a constant hashing of like how the murder happening repeatedly with every suspect or every twist in the case. Like the Poirot character is like, it was you did this, then you did this. And it's like, how could we empower our audience to almost like give the inspector a load of stuff, and then the inspector to kind of like say, oh, this character did this, and then we almost show that. So I wonder whether there's kind of almost maybe there's a sense of in that final, just looking at that final scene and being like, yeah, what are the options that could have happened that made this, who did what and why, and I wonder whether that's quite an interesting way of like thinking about how the audience could interact and pulling forth some of that information. So yeah, I don't know if I've made sense. Sorry, my head's a bit fluffy today, but yeah, I think maybe we need to shift our focus a little bit, because we've had so much fun like making the visuals and using them in the structure that we've got. But maybe we've got some of these scenes, maybe we can look at how audience interaction informs them and how it becomes more flexible and in the moment.
So would you be thinking, sorry, go on, Chloe.
I was just going to very quickly say that was one of the things that came up, Paul, on like kind of list of things that would be good to check in with you about between now and the next kind of block of sessions, because I'm very used to how to utilize OBS as basically an improv tool, less so with vMix. So talking to you about what are the good ways to try and do things, or how possible it is to do improvised or on the spot editing and making might be good from any of your experience.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
So-
that'd be good because I'd like to hear more about how you do that with OBS as well. So that'd be good to talk about that. Did you want to? Sorry, Alice, you were going to say something as well. I just wanted to, before I feedback.
So kind of just to clarify for us, when you're not here, Steph, kind of playing around with maybe Peter being the audience member and him coming up with like a theory that he has, and then like me and Tom like acting out that theory.
Yeah, I feel like
characters.
As from having done the shows where, because we do corporate versions basically, where the teams will pick a leader and they'll feedback, and they're often those feedbacks are quite long. They're like, because they're thinking on their feet a lot of the time and they're not improvisers. It's not. So I wonder whether there's something in like the audience, like maybe Peter is the audience putting, like if you crowdsource the audience to be like, why do you think it could be this person? And then all the audience are like, they could have done this, they could have done that. And then Peter could, then you, Alice, could pull from those and be like, so perhaps he did this, then he did this, and then he did this. And you've got like, so you've got direct things coming from the audience that might be quite random or might be on point. Yeah, that would be about the improviser kind of like taking what's coming through and kind of digesting it. Yeah, and then seeing the actor who is the suspect kind of recreate it in moments on scene. Yeah, whether that would work, I don't know.
Yeah, see how easy that is for Chloe with layering and changing.
I'm sure there's part of it will just be programming it in the way that makes the most sense. So I will basically make sure that I've got those evenings like completely free, because I think some of the stuff will just be me having to go away for like an hour or two in the evening and go, oh, okay, this will make more sense and make it easier to do this thing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think. Yeah. Oh, sorry. Go for it, Paul.
No, I was just going to respond to you. I mean, I think what you originally said, Steph, is absolutely right in the sense that what is, questioning what this medium platform is for, and really wanting to make it an experience that is about audience experience of a piece of theatre as opposed to a piece of television or film, and how do you get that sense of liveness, of performers in different locations across to the audience? Because for me watching your sessions, I know all of that. I know that Tom's in London and Alice is in Bristol, and I know you haven't got it scripted yet, and you're improvising, and all those things are really, really engaging for me as an audience member. The fact that I know you're not there and you're playing with that whole sort of compositing technique, and you're trying to learn a way to strangle somebody. How can I strangle this person who's in London and he's online and he's actually a layer of video, and you're playing. It's the playing with that really is quite entertaining for me to watch. And I'm wondering how audiences can also get that. Of course, improvisation is a thing that really kind of gets it a little bit. People get that.
Yeah, it's very clowny in the way of like, I think it lends itself to kind of comedy, the what it is, because it's like it is quite lo-fi in like, even though it's very high tech, like, which is really fun. And like Tom was talking about, that's he's been to lots of galleries and lots of art exhibitions where that is kind of like people are playing around with that kind of lo-fi thing. He explained it a lot better than I just did, but and like playing around to like the comedy of it, so the audience are aware of what we're doing in the space as performers, and then seeing how hard that is, and then having moments of it being brilliant. So when they know that so the moments that work really well, they know how hard that is, and that's kind of like the rule of like clown, doing something really hard and then doing it really well, so the audience know that kind of are in on the struggle of it.
Yeah. I mean, the way you can, I mean, one of the just that we talked about it briefly, but I mean, another way, a way that you can bring the audience straight into the vMix is through having this sort of having a screen share as a live feed into the mix. So literally, you'll pitch like the pictures of when you made This Is My Aunt, when you were in the captain's place, there's a little picture on there. It could be quite easily a picture of somebody online watching, or somebody looking through a porthole or a slide, and so they immediately get that sense of they're in the mix with it. That might help you get it across that actually this is all happening live. They're part of it. It might be more of a visual approach than a kind of dialogue approach in many ways, and that might be a slightly different, a new challenge to the way you produce that kind of collaborative work. Because a lot of it, I think, with the previous shows I've seen, is quite a lot about dialogue with the audience, not necessarily about their video, but about the conversations with them. Just wonder whether that might be something to consider, whether it's the video element that they come in with.
Yeah, I definitely think that would be good to have them appearing in it, how we can do that.
Yeah.
And I like the idea of the aunt being one of the audience member. Oh, look, there's my aunt. She looks quite like you, Detective Millicent. Zoom team name. Yeah.
One of the things to explore there is also how we work that around like different audience numbers, people turning their cameras on and off, because that will always like change potentially the size of different things. And if you let someone in from the waiting room, etc., it shuffles people along. So it would be good also like just feeling out the different ways of managing it.
I didn't realize you would be literally screen grabbing and then selecting so it would move around. That's quite that's exciting.
Can you? I mean, I'm not very clued up on Zoom, but presumably you could, if you were if there's one person streaming out onto Zoom that is kind of controlling everybody else's screen in what they're seeing. Is it also possible for somebody else to pin a picture of somebody so they can get that up on a screen? So I don't want to watch the performance. I want to watch a pinned picture of an audience member.
You can pin, and I think that would be probably the main way to try and control it a bit, because if you pin rather than spotlight, that's just for you on your end, I think. It was mainly for kind of when people needed to say pin their BSL interpreters so that they were always visible for them. It would just then be a case of like, okay, when do we need to know that someone needs to get pinned? How many people are getting pinned, etc. But I think that would probably be the best way to manage that. Yeah.
I mean, what we could try, if you wanted to, for the next sessions, is we could rather than myself come in and watch it on vMix, I could watch it on Zoom. So you could stream it out to Zoom whilst you're live. I can then watch it on Zoom, and you could actually then pick up my picture or something and bring it into or somebody else's picture, whoever, another member of your team who wants to watch it on Zoom, and just bring them in and see how that works. Is
there a way that we could potentially put the chat in the Zoom chat into the image on vMix, so that because obviously the audience will be on Zoom, so they'll be able to see it.
But I can't see why not.
Yeah, for the actors, they won't be able to see that, will they? So it might be that, because that was quite a nice point of interaction as well. And if we were collecting that information, it would be good to have the like, I don't know if there's probably not like a fancy way to do it, sadly, like changing it would be great if there was like a feed that you could then make it look like a different font rather than just a screen grab. But
yeah, I mean, you could
copy and pasting basically.
If I could figure out you could if I could figure out transparency and stuff, you could put like just at least like a bit of a color haze over it so it looks a bit more sepia or something, but that's the most I can see of immediately doing anything to it.
Yeah. I wonder how that could be done.
Yeah. Does that sound like a good idea for our next few sessions then, Alice and Chloe? in terms of like
Yeah.
like looking for a couple of moments to maybe bring the audience in like an image, or who's outside the porthole, and then I mean maybe there's a kind of case of like asking the audience to give a load of things that they think why Getcha might have done it, or why Doug Spogdy might have done it, if we focus on those two in this one. And then you, Alice, kind of summarizing it in a way that is a funny scene for Tom to improvise. That we know we have a couple of, like, that we can show the moment of Getcha faking it by the door, or like faking hearing Albert Ross by the door, or an image of Getcha like poisoning something, or an image of an image of Getcha strangling the Admiral, which might be quite tough. Now we'll have one less actor if you're holding it.
But I could, as Shartington, I don't know, there might be a way that I can
silhouetted. I guess you could still
talk. Because there's two ways we could possibly do that, because there's only me and Tom. Like, either I am Shartington, I kind of refine it, and then me and Tom act it out, or we could try me and Tom acting it out as the audience member is saying it, because it might be quite fun with them kind of their ums and ahs, like us responding to that, like what did we do next? Oh yeah, we got this, and no, we didn't do that, wait, chuck that away, oh, we got this instead. Like, that might be quite fun.
Yeah, that might be quite funny. Yeah. What did I do next? Yeah.
Sorry, wait, but I was there, and then I was like, oh.
Yeah. Yeah, that might be fun because then you could do Penguin and Doug and Doug's Body and Getcha. So then at least we've got a couple of different people, basically. Yeah, that feels fun.
I was going to ask Steph, I was sort of writing a bit of a script of what we did yesterday. And the thing that was really hard to write in was, the silhouetted murder.
Yeah.
It was really hard to then go back to Shartington describing the murder, because I was like, we've just seen the exact murder weapon. Yeah. So if we can just put that, can we lose it and put it at the end as like the actual reveal?
Yeah. So maybe for that beginning bit, maybe there's just something about being like, in that beginning bit, we'll find a way to get the audience to engage as well. Like, mention the chat there and be like, we could set up the chat in one of those moments instead. Right. Yeah, we could shoot that shot where we did show the murder. What we could do is show Tom like getting angry with the radio, and then fade it to him dead on the thing in some way.
That would work brilliantly, because in my narrative I sort of say about Getcha, then I say that Ross went and he cancelled, but he obviously couldn't get through, and then I arrived and I found the body. So that would work really well in terms of the narrative of it.
Great.
We can get through that quite quickly and add in some fun audience stuff into that.
Great.
Yeah.
And I think that would be a good place in that beginning bit to set up the picture of your aunt, who's one of the audience. That's a picture of my aunt, who was a great detective. You look just like her, blah, blah, blah. And then, who's outside the porthole? Get inside. What are you doing out there? You're late for the briefing. Yeah. And we've got a whole thing about sea legs as well, with the rocking, and then the rocking moving outside the window.
Yeah.
Great.
As long as people, I mean, I think in some ways, it's not. Part of it feels polished from your point of view of what you do, but elements are unpredictable. So bringing in scenes from Zoom, audiences, members from Zoom is unpredictable. But I think that's almost part of it. It's almost like oh, I was expecting to see my aunt, but actually it's my uncle after all. I wasn't quite sure. I wasn't quite sure that was, because it might be the wrong person. So you just got to literally go with it almost, or there might be like a part of a screen or something that suddenly might come up. And in some ways, it just feels as though it's all part of that play on sort of. There is a lo-fi feel to it, and I think the important thing is that the audience know why there's a lo-fi feel to it. to get the kind of high tech. Actually, this is really complicated what they're doing, and unbelievable what they're doing, because they're bringing all these things together. People are watching this from around the world. The actors are in the same place. It's all hanging on a little telephone line going out of my computer. Now, how does that? There is some magic to it and unbelievableness about it, really. And then there's this crime story happening, all of that, which is a narrative is being told through that rich sort of composition of all these elements. So I kind of feel, the way to go is probably with I don't know whether you've got it yet, Chloe, is the vMix desktop capture app. It's available from the vMix website, and you can download it. It runs on a Mac as well. So vMix actually as a system normally only runs on a PC, but the desktop capture app can run on any machine. I don't think it can run on tablets though, but it can run on a Mac. And you can just basically capture your entire screen, and then Chloe can cut out bits of that wherever people are and put them behind portholes into picture frames and put them anywhere you want. The challenge might be audio, so we need to think about how the audio is relayed. Now the audio will potentially go through Zoom to the audience, so it'll be fed through Zoom with the video. But how the audio gets back to the performers is a challenge. I think that's Tom. There we go. I'll let Tom in as well. So that might be a little bit of a challenge, getting the audio back. But I think it can be routed through, or certainly can be routed through to into vMix from Zoom. So everyone can hear it. Hi, Tom.
Hello. I'm so sorry.
That's all right.
So sorry.
That's all right.
Yeah.
Not a problem. We were just talking about what you were doing yesterday and other things, and about sort of the aims of the residency and what you might explore in the next sessions. But yeah, I'm talking too much. Steph, over to you. What do you think is there? How about scenes? Did you want to explore scenes and things, that sort of thing, or ideas for scenes, Steph?
Yeah, I think so. So it sounds like we're going to lose the murder. Our scene 5 in our list. We're going to lose the murder. Yeah. So it's just Albert Ross messing with radio. And and also I was going to say, Alice, we did all that stuff where it was like, where are you from? What drinks do you have? So maybe that is something that we need to do. We can put them on the projector.
Yeah, I was going to say, you remember how we used to be like, oh, we've got detective so-and-so, thank goodness. So we could do that with putting them on the projector screen. Like, the famous, we'll all be all right. And of course, and with this one, the sort of context of how we've got all these detectives to Antarctica is that they're on a detective booze cruise.
Yeah.
Which, like, it's something so tiny. But we could have a play of like, oh, you last night you were out, yeah, have a lot of fun with them.
As every single time we do that weird thing, someone tells us we have to cut it and we never do. So to make that matter, yeah, so we need to. So Tom, we're just talking about in the beginning section, we're trying to lean into the liveness of it. So in the beginning section, I think we're going to try and build in the audience into, like, one of them might be behind the porthole. One of them might turn up in the picture of the people in the lounge, and then there might be some turning up on the projector.
Right.
I think there's an interesting question, Alice, about when they're on the projector. Are you treating that image as them and looking at them as you speak, or is like there a weird moment where you're like, here's a picture of our greatest detectives from last night's karaoke detective song?
Yeah, I think I'm going to play with that, because then
always look out to the front the whole time, as if you're like, there's the picture, and then I'm going to talk to you there, even though the audience is seeing the video image on there. So it's just
because it might be quite fun if I'm like, oh, the revered detective, but last night you were like lying on your back completely drunk, and like seeing if I can get them to do that. I was like, oh, we've got a photo of it last night, and see if I can get them to do that pose or whatever. Quite fun.
Yeah. And then Tom, we were just talking about for the end scene to kind of to make the most of like being able to improv things is like having, you know, when a detective kind of goes through all the different people that it could have been, like sometimes in films you get these like flash sideways and you see the same murder scene over and over again, or the same scene but with just the different people and their different motivations. And so there's a suggestion, Alice, well, it suggested that maybe Chateau leads that, El Chateau, but also there's been a suggestion that maybe the audience feedback what they think might have happened, and then you guys act it out while the audience kind of direct you. So you got the silhouette, and then you've got the audience being like, so then he killed El Chateau. Like, what? Yeah. And the audience are like, yeah, so the actors can kind of react to it and build their image. And we have like a set couple of scenes that we know we can jump to. So showing Getcha like faking Albert Ross coming to the door or something, or then Getcha murdering Albert Ross in the thing. And we could have Chateau kind of like questioning the audience as well in those moments. I don't know. Does that make sense, Tom?
Yeah, I think that makes sense as well, because it's really nice at the end of like Murder on Ice and the other ones, when we had like the voting, it would always it's nice that if we at the end of that voting they'd be like, oh, you think it's Scout, okay, who here thinks it's Scout, what's your theory?
Yeah.
Okay, tell us what that theory is. It's nice for us to see like, oh, this is a theory and here's why you're completely wrong.
Yeah. That would be really fun to do, I think. That feels like quite a live, it's a very different pace of ending than we've done before.
Yeah.
It's kind of, it makes the most of the medium and is quite lively, which is fun. I feel like that would be 20 minutes. If we did that beginning bit, we'd probably looking at close to 10. And then if you're doing that second bit, you're looking at maybe slightly more than 10 minutes for kind of creating that. And we could look at those different moments and pull them, kind of come up with some options. And Peter and Paul can be our fake audiences, kind of throw ideas out there, and we'll just have to focus in on Penn, Doug's body, and Getcha, so that we can find the best multi-rolling of it.
That sounds good.
Yeah. Right.
Chloe, have you got a fair bit of a list of things to get through? I'm wondering what I can do to help with that. If there's anything at all, just let me know. I mean, maybe we should meet and have a chat. And I'm more than happy for you. You know, you take the lead, but tell me if you need any help with things. So I know it's quite a lot of work.
Thanks. Basically, my some of the things that I'm going to get done between now and April, part of it is just tidying up the back end, so that it's straightforward to transition through the scenes that we've got and stuff, and just all of my actual things that are layers that I don't need to look at are hidden away. There's a few things that basically what I might do is do a bit of personal experimentation and go, do I have a way to do this? Can I Google a way for this? And if I then can't, I will add that to my list of things for us to chat about. And if we have a chat sometime, probably like the week of the 11th, just because things are a bit chocker until then. And then we can talk about any kind of bits where particular help would be really handy.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, I'm happy to have a chat with you then about that. Definitely, no problem.
Thank you.
And I mean, if you, I mean, I'm not sure if you want to share any sort of script or anything with me. I can have a look at it, and so I know where you're up to, or whatever. It's up to you how you want to do that. So you've got me prepared for the 18th when you're back on the 18th. So yeah. Just wondering how else I can help, what else I can do to try and get this to support you. Maybe I can look into I can get you some information about, I'm sure you probably know already, but maybe about streaming into Zoom and that sort of thing. I can look into some of that. I have done a bit of that before.
That would be handy. My main experience of relaying things into Zoom is using like OBS's virtual camera mode and virtual cables. So that I think is actually going to be one of the kind of, now that I'm a bit more familiar with vMix and kind of have a rough sense typically of how to achieve the things that we want, I think actually that will be one of the more significant things for next time.
Do you have another computer, Chloe? Do you have an extra computer you work with, or because you might need a couple? You got is that a Mac?
Yeah, I have the I'm doing all the vMix stuff on my one like gaming hardcore laptop.
Sure.
I have a MacBook Air, and depending on whether my partner has clients in his sound studio or not, I can also have access sometimes to a third to a Mac desktop. But that's very dependent.
We've also got the Windows, the laptop that we got for Lucy.
Oh yeah.
So, I could potentially drop that to you on the 10th, because I'm going to be driving through London anyway to drop off stuff. So if that was an option, I could drop that off then.
Yeah, I'll be kind of around in central London near Waterloo on the 10th for bits and pieces, but I'll have time to also kind of just hop around, so I think that would work.
Right. Yeah. So if that feels like a good option, let me know.
It might do. It might be. I mean, the thing is, it's probably. I mean, it's the tool is just using MDI virtual input on your Mac, picking up. Yeah. You'd have to be on the same local area network, but you just pick it up on your Mac from your PC of the live program output of vMix. So you have to switch on NDI devices and vMix. That's quite straightforward. And then you just pick that up in using NDI virtual input into Zoom, and then that's what you spotlight or show in Zoom in Zoom as your performance screen. I'm
thinking the spare laptop, Steph, that might be really useful, just because, for instance, that'll have an Ethernet port, and I don't have any adapters, or like we'd need to get an adapter for the MacBook Air, and also just kind of it can do basic things, but when it's potentially running something a little bit more hefty, or we really want to rely on it not having kind of wild latency or anything, I wouldn't necessarily trust my MacBook Air.
Yeah. We can get little dongles and things like that if you need them, Chloe. We can get them sent to you. So if you let me know in advance, I can get that sent out to you.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, I've got pretty good internet in my flat, and we've got a lot of Ethernet cables and stuff. But yeah, it's just I don't know how much I trust the MacBook with that.
Sure. Just go. Sorry, Steph, go ahead.
So basically, we've got the Monday and the Tuesday of that week, and then the Wednesday we're going to do a kind of sharing in the morning, and I think we should have a bit of a chat with. We're definitely going to invite all of our Sherlock collaborators to that, and there's about 20. There's probably about kind of 20 people in that pool of people, which is a nice audience that a lot of them will know Murder on Ice, and I think because we're not going to do the middle section, which is interviewing all the suspects. There'll be a really good audience to have, and we'll probably invite a couple of other people, like Giles from Bristol Vic is interested, and Tom will probably be busy, Tom Morris, but it's worth an ask because he will have just opened. And Matt, who runs the Wardrobe Theatre, who's another collaborator of ours, who you might have spotted yesterday walking across the green screen at Alice's.
Yes.
So we've got those people, but it feels like we're moving towards like having something we can share that would last about 20 minutes and then have about a 40-minute chat afterwards. So we can kind of say that that'll be on the 11 o'clock on the Tuesday.
Let me have a look. Dates. I've got you down for your next session is on. You were going to do a session on the 8th. You got a session of the 18th of April. You were going to do a session on the 19th, and then on the 20th was going to be the final one.
Yeah, the
Wednesday. 20th. That's a Wednesday.
Yeah.
20th on the Wednesday, so there'll be like an 11 a.m. performance sharing.
Okay.
And we might have to see, Tom, if we'll have to see whether Karina can actually zoom in separately your house without it damaging the internet, or she have to sit in the room with you and watch on your screen.
That might be an issue. Yeah.
She can hotspot.
Yeah.
For 20 minutes, I'm sure.
So if we say that, is there anyone else, Alice and Tom and Chloe, that you guys wanted to invite to watch? Because I'll do some invitations.
Just the Sherlock lot, like Megan and maybe Peter Maurice.
Yeah, I probably invite Jack Drury as well.
Oh, I love this. Yeah.
Depending on like how many feels like too many, there's a few folks that I can think of. I mean, I can say names, but also I have no idea if like people who will recognize the names. But like Tom Black, Owen Kingston, and Jaya Baldwin, who are all like immersive, interactive people that are either doing live shows that this could work really well with, or do a lot of digital shows that this kind of stuff would work really well with. I think it'd be really.
Is it best if I send you the invite then, Chloe, and you can kind of forward on to anyone that you think is?
If that's all right, yeah.
Yeah, I was wondering whether Tom Mansfield would be a good person, because he was really.
Oh shit! Yeah, Tom would love this. I can say, yeah, Tom Mansfield definitely.
Yeah, because he also knows the show as well, so I think he'll. Yeah, but yeah, I'm happy for us to invite a couple of other people that are like specifically interested in this area of kind of tech and stuff. But that sounds like a nice little crowd. I'm sure not all of them will come. So
that sounds superb. Yeah, really good.
Have a bit of a warm audience to kind of test stuff on and see how they feel about it after we've been messing around with it for days.
Yeah, really good. And I think that go with it with your, I mean that element of the Zoom input is going to be, as I say, unpredictable. So it's going to be fun. I think that's the way to go.
I think when Peter gets in, I think what might be good is on that first Monday is to just kind of like for all of you to recap what we've created of the beginning with the new bits in, so that's got that, and then by the afternoon session move on to how we do this ending, so that trying to solve playing around, so Chloe's got time for editing and making that, finishing that on the Tuesday, and then using the afternoon session to kind of go over everything again. It's not going to be perfectly polished. We just need to get a sense of it for the audience, which will be quite fun. Yeah. But I think that sounds like it. Yeah, I think this feels positive. It feels like we've got discovering something really interesting. If we have the audience being able to like direct what could have happened, that could be really funny. Yeah, and I think that's a good use of our time.
I think it's really interesting that you're talking about the issues around audience. Actually, I think this is really, really good, and that's been your work previously, and we've worked with other companies where they haven't really wanted to think about the audience at all, and they just wanted to purely do something like make a film, make a TV show, and the audience are just not aware that the actors are in different locations and these sorts of things. So it's really, really, really good that you're approaching it this way.
Yeah, I'm interested in the one thing that's really intriguing me with these massive like LED screens that I'm learning about now. I'm like, would that be easier for an actor almost to be able to place themselves to recreate those scenes in that? I really like the green screens because you can actually get them and afford them and put them in places.
Yeah.
I'm also like, there's part of me that's like, what is the high tech version of this, and what happens changes when you do that, which is really but I feel like this playing could essentially change Sherlock quite intensely, the model that we're working, but as long as it really keeps that audience interaction there,
it
will still be really exciting and fun for the audience, because that is the thing that made people like our work, was the fact that they felt like they were part of the show. I think
keep that goal, absolutely. It's my own personally my own interest as well. It's about what role the audience plays in all of these things. So please do. I think future homes should be built with it. We should all have an extra room, which is a kind of green screen room. You know, every house should have one.
Green screen, just green screen whatever you need. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Does that seem like we've got a little while now, Alice and Tom, till next week? I guess, Alice, it sounds like you've kind of almost already made a bit of a script for yourself for the beginning. And hopefully we've marked in a couple of places where the audience can appear in that. And in terms of Tom, you've got quite a simple journey in that at the moment. And then the focus mainly needs to be on this end section and working out what are the options that the audience might throw up and how we might capture them in that moment. It may need you may find that you need El Chato to almost like angle it into the right boxes for us, like the audience say something and then El Chato needs to say, oh, so you saying that we might have seen this and then we see Getcha do that sort of thing. It's kind of weirdly like forum theatre, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. Like all the other options. Because, oh my God, forum theatre. Because there's a thing, isn't there, in forum theatre where if the audience says something and then the actor doesn't do it as the audience wanted them to, the audience will get up. So you could potentially have no, he's not doing it right. Well, then you do it then. And get the audience member to like move in the space, like, or something. Yeah, I don't know. That might be too wild, but that would be exactly borrowing from what forum theatre does in a way.
We did a little piece with Creation Theatre, and they brought in one member of an audience, but it was a kind of a group of friends. But they brought them in through vMix. So one person did the same. They came in the same way that the actors would come in, and they kind of teased them because they couldn't. They tried to make them catch a ball they couldn't catch and this sort of thing, and just sort of humiliated them a bit, really. Yeah. But there was a good friend, so it was okay. So they could do that.
Some audience members love that. You've just got to find the right ones. This sounds great. In terms of a Zoom link that I should send out with the invitation, is it better for us to do it through our Zoom account, Paul, or through you? Yeah, what is the best way?
Go through yours. I don't have a Zoom account or any kind of university. We don't. As a university, we use this wonderful platform, Teams, which is so probably best to go with your own. Absolutely.
Right, I'll make sure that you've got the login details, Chloe, for that, so that you can check that we've got the right stuff based on our Zoom account.
One thing you could think about doing, and I'll have a chat with Chloe about it, but it's using this screen capture software from vMix. Normally that should be on the same local area network, but somebody else could do it. But it would have to be on an NDI bridge, which I'd never explored. But that's a kind of extending your local area network remotely. So somebody else could actually do all that, prepare that screen for you. Otherwise, you've got a lot of work to do. You've got to pin your audience member on one screen, make sure you're streaming out on another screen, and then doing your vMix on another. So it's like 3 different jobs all happening at the same time, which is a bit much. So it might be that somebody else could do that bit for you.
Yeah, my brain has already gone, oh, okay, what are the bits of fluff that Alice and Tom can have for when a choice has been made, but I will need like 20 seconds just to make sure things are set up before we can cut to it.
If there's if there's anything me and Alice are good at, it's fluffing.
Excellent.
Great. Did anyone else have any questions, or do you feel like we've covered? I think I'll definitely have a proper chat with Peter on the Sunday before. I'll do a full download into his head then. And Alice, if you can share the script that you've created with me.
It's in your notes.
Is it in there?
Just at the bottom of that document.
Yeah, fantastic. Nailed it. And it's Chloe, you've got that as well, so that if you want to start noting that up for a text script as well, that's available.
Cool. I've got some like a rough version of that, but I'll make a neater one.
Alice, I'll talk to you about dropping off costume, and Tom, I'll see you on the 10th, and Chloe, I might see you on the 10th for the laptop drop off as well.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, so great.
And I'd be happy to meet up, Chloe, next week or sometime if you wanted to, for another quick update and chat if that's useful.
It will. It'll just be a matter of timing because I am on. It sounds very childish. I promise it's very grown up. I'm on game design camp.
No, that's not at all. That sounds fantastic. Very, very good. Okay, no problem. But if you want to meet up at any time and talk about stuff, I am on leave that week of the 11th, but I'm on leave from my academic things, quite honestly, and I'm quite happy to take to use the time of that week of the 11th of April.
Well, I'll be doing kind of bits and pieces as I go, and I'll just make sure that either we can meet up outside of that, or at least like I'll have a lot of stuff in place so that I'm not using up too much of your time that week. Okay, well, no problem at all if we need to. Obviously, the Good Friday's on the 15th, but I've taken that week off before, but from the 11th onwards. But I'm around, so please do let me know if you want to meet that week. No problem. Cool. Thank you.
Yes. Thanks, everyone.
Yeah.
Have a lovely day.
Thank you so much. This is so exciting. Really, really good to be working with you. Enjoying it. Great fun watching it. Great fun watching the videos. I can't help laughing when I watch these scenes. They just make me laugh. Wonderful.
It's a good sign.
Yeah. It's a good sign. Absolutely a good sign. When you're laughing and editing at the same time, it's brilliant fun.
Excellent. I'll see everyone soon. Have a lovely day.
Okay. Thanks so much.
Bye.